the cost of living in Australia, groceries, transportation, and housing. What's up, beautiful people? Welcome to my channel. In today's video, we will be talking about the cost of living in Australia. The cost of living in Australia, groceries, transportation, and housing. What's up, beautiful people? Welcome to my channel. In today's video, we will be talking about the cost of living in Australia. Before we start, I would like to emphasize that the cost of living in Australia in this particular video was calculated based on a family of 4. That's my husband, myself, and my 2 little kids. Now, the cost of living in Australia will not be the same with someone that has a larger family or for someone that stays in a bigger city, right? So, New South Wales has about 2,800 suburbs. Now, the cost of living in New South Wales would definitely not be the same with the cost of living maybe in Perth, Western Australia. Now, we stay in a very small suburb in New South Wales. Very small in the sense that in less than 10 minutes, you will drive around this whole suburb. So for us, proximity is everything. Proximity to the kids' school, proximity to the shopping mall, proximity to our place of work is very important to us. Of course, if you live in the heart of Sydney, the cost of living in this area will definitely be higher compared to someone that lives around Newcastle or that axis. So the cost of living in bigger cities will generally not be the same with the cost of living compared to us that lives in the smaller cities. I'm going to start with housing. Housing will be the first on my list today. The cost of housing in New South Wales varies according to different suburbs. For example, we were formerly staying in Perth, Western Australia, and we were paying as high as $650 in a week. Now, fast forward to when we moved to this smaller suburb, weekly we pay about $415, which I will consider reasonably cheap. We were paying about $400 weekly when we moved into this apartment, but the real estate market has been up and down lately, so we've had our rent increased twice in a year. So presently we're paying about $215 in a week, which I would still consider to be affordably within range. And we pay rent weekly here in Australia. You can decide to pay fortnightly or monthly, but most houses here, we pay rent weekly. And this is where almost all our salaries go to. Because if you calculate $415 in 4 weeks, like that's a whole lot of money, right? So next on my list is transportation. Like I said earlier on, this is a very small suburb. So I and my husband drive to work every day. Like, we don't use public transportation system at all. So proximity here is key in as much as we have parking space all over the place. So we drive to and fro to work. So my husband uses an Outlander 2025 model, generally in weekly basis. It takes him about $150 weekly to fill up his fuel tank. Then for myself, I use the latest model of Renault. So It's actually a big car, and my engine is a little bit on the bigger side, so usually it takes me about $170 to fill up my fuel tank. But to be realistic anyways, most times this fuel takes me for about a week or two. Now there are some hidden charges that comes alongside with transportation here in Australia. One of those hidden charges are car insurance. Like, the importance of having a car insurance here cannot be overemphasized. It's one of the major requirements here for you to get a regular job. They would ask you if you have a car insurance. They would even ask you if it's a comprehensive insurance or a third-party insurance. And my husband uses the comprehensive car insurance, and we pay about $162 monthly for this car insurance. So for the both of us, that's about $362 monthly for car insurance alone. So that means on weekly basis we'll pay about $41 each for car insurance alone. So the importance of car insurance here in Australia cannot be overemphasized. Car insurance is very important in terms of accidents, in terms of damages to your car, even in terms of death. Your car insurance plays a major role here in Australia. So regardless, people still have their cars insured here in Australia. For me personally, I will choose a comprehensive car insurance over and over again over the third-party insurance. Next on my list is car regio, which we know as car registration. Here in Australia, car regio is considered very important. So you can make your car regio every 6 months or every year. Like my husband does most of all our car regio and stuff like that, but I know he does this once in every 6 months. But for the purpose of this video, I had to get all the prices from him. So I know the last regio he did 6 months ago was about 1,600 per person per car. So that means weekly, if we're to go by weekly expenses, that's about $400 weekly. That's a bit much. Next on my list today is car servicing. Car servicing here in Australia is a necessity. Car servicing here is mostly 3 to 4 months depending on the car. So most time when you go to service your car, they might need to change the oil, the tires, and do some servicing generally. And most times when you come to service your car, they would write for you when next you're due to come in for servicing, or they will check the kilometer and tell you at these certain kilometers you need to come in to service your car. So the importance of servicing your car here in Australia cannot be overemphasized. In fact, they have a working system in place that will check these things for you, write it down somewhere for you to always know when your car is due for servicing. So for each of our cars, my husband pays about $300 or thereabout to service his car. So this will take us till about the next 3 or 4 months again before we take it in for next servicing. So for us to service the 2 cars, that means we pay roughly about $600 each time we need to service these cars, which I will consider reasonably affordable. Still under transportation, let's talk about car financing. So car financing is very, very popular here in Australia. So we have so many companies that are willing to finance these cars for you. Then you decide to pay maybe weekly, monthly, or however you decide to make your payment. So I and my husband, we have two separate cars. So for each car, we pay about $358 weekly for one person. So that means for two of us alone, just for our car financing, we pay roughly about $715 in a week, guys. So can you see that these bills don't ever stop coming? Like, the list is so numerous and they won't ever stop. Next on my list, guys, groceries, food. So for us, we are a family of 4. So basically we do our groceries every 2 weeks, every fortnight. So this helps us to prepare for the week and it reduces my workload. So I'm speaking based on a family of 4, myself, my husband, and my 2 kids. So basically, in a fortnight, our groceries can take as much as $400 or thereabouts. So this includes everything we need for that fortnight. Our milk is there, our Milo is there, we'll buy 2 crates of eggs, bread, protein, veggies, kitchen towel, liquid soap, anything we need, like all the food and all the consumables we need for that fortnight. We'll try to squeeze it into this $400. So once in a week, my husband would usually buy some takeouts in case I'm working late. Most times I work very late and I don't need to come back very late. I'm trying to figure out what to cook. So we do takeouts any day I'm working late, maybe once in a week or once a week. Then on our birthdays, we'll try to eat out, like eat any special dishes on our birthday. Like my husband's birthday is on the March the 27th. My son's birthday is equally on that same March. Then my daughter's birthday is December and mine is June. So whenever is our birthday, we still try to go out, eat something very special just to make that day look special for us. Of course, this is part of our bills and spendings here in Australia. Next on my list today is the phone bills. Depending on the network provider, this will vary from one individual to another. So my network provider is Tesra and I use an 80 gig monthly plan. So I have a 247 internet and an unlimited international calls as well. So if I'm to break this down into weekly basis calculation, this would be like a $21 payment for me weekly and $21 payment weekly for my husband as well. So in a week, we pay about $41 on just phone internet alone. So this is reasonably affordable. So next on my list today is health care. So like you all know, we are on a 491 visa. So on a 491 visa, we have a Medicare. I will drop the picture somewhere there for you guys to see. So we are on a 491 visa and the Medicare card covers the basic necessities health-wise. So this Medicare does a whole lot for us. Like once in every year, January every year, we do annual medical checkup, myself, my husband, and my kids. So this Medicare takes care of all our laboratory tests, all the abdominal scans, all the CT scans, all the MRI. I even did CT scan brain one time, and to my surprise, I didn't pay anything here. So the Medicare covers a whole lot of things. But anything that has to do with any dental issue that requires you to see an orthodontist surgeon, the Medicare under the 491 visa would not cover that. So like lately, I had my son's braces done to correct his dentition, and we paid out of pocket of almost $5,000. It was not covered under the Medicare. But regardless, the Medicare under the 491 visa subclass is still useful. However, if you have a private health insurance, ordinarily it will cover most of the things that Medicare doesn't cover ordinarily. Making sense, right? Yes. So if you have the private health insurance, I think is about $250 you need to pay weekly or thereabout. Like, we don't have the private health insurance yet, so I don't know much about it. So we just use the regular Medicare, and to the best of my understanding, it's really been helpful. Next on my list is electricity bills, guys. Like, electricity bills here in Australia is the only thing that consumes all our salary. Like, whenever my husband gets the electricity bills to pay, he's always angry. He's like, how on earth does one pay this amount just for electricity? So for us here, we consume more electricity during the winter. So winter here is not usually so cold, but most times, like, you will feel it's really so cold that you need to turn on the heater. So we stay in a three bed. So imagine we turn on the heater in all the rooms, the living room, like everywhere, the heater is on almost the same time. Of course, this is why we have much electricity bills to pay when the time comes. During summer as well, the weather could be so unbearable, like extremely unbearable, that we need to turn on the aircon, like everywhere, all the rooms, the kitchen area, the lounge area, like all the aircon is usually on during the summer times here. So this explains why we still have so much to pay when it comes to electricity bills. So for us here, we pay electricity bills quarterly, and the last payment we paid was $1,500. Yes, I am not capping figures, I am not exaggerating. $1,500. So if we were to break this down into weekly basis, this is about $175 weekly, guys. Like, there was one time my husband paid as high as $2,000 just for electricity bills, right? This is crazy, but this is the reality of being an Aussie. Gas bills. Gas bills are not cheap at all in Australia. In our other apartment in Perth, Western Australia, we were using gas there, and I tell you, those bills were not cheap at all. But fast forward to where we are residing at the moment, luckily we don't pay gas bills. So this category does not apply to us, and I would move on to the next one. When we are residing in Perth, Western Australia, the water bills, oh my word, they were not cheap at all. There was this particular day, one of the pipes in the houses was broken or leaking or something. So we were very new in Australia. We didn't know what to do. We didn't know what to expect. But I know my husband went to work and I was home with the kids. So when he got back about 5 or 6 p.m., he's like, oh, I need to call the house owner and let him know. So this was how they gave us bills running in thousands to pay for just water bills. Fast forward to our moving to here in New South Wales. Luckily, we don't pay bills. So this category does not really apply to us. So I will move on to the next stage. So next on my list today is the home phone bill. I have an unlimited plan for the home internet. My kids do a whole lot of online classes on the internet to have our kinetic education. Now the kinetic education is a learning platform that tutors them on how to get familiar, how to be good with their English, spoken English and written English. It teaches them a whole lot of mathematics stuffs as well. So we do this online, basically like 3 to 4 hours every day online. We do our online classes. So we'll have the house internet that helps us with doing all these things around the house. So this video was not sponsored by Kinetic Education. This is just me trying to explain what the kids do at home with the internet. So on weekly basis, we pay about $114 alone for the home internet. So this is still considered affordable. Next on my list today is school fees. Now we are on a 491 visa and we came here as a skilled migrant. So if you're on a 491 visa, the school fees is basically cheap, or I would say free, if you have your kids in nursery school and primary school. So for my kids here, the school fees is free, but I won't really say is 100% free because we need to pay for school uniform. School uniform here is as high as almost $200. You might need to buy like 2 pairs, buy their sportswears, and most times you even pay for books. So I won't really say school fees is 100% free here in New South Wales. So the cost of childcare as well is not cheap here in Australia. So I don't have any baby that is less than 5 years. So my kids are already in primary school. So that's why I said school fees is somehow free. But for those that have kids that are less than 5 years, childcare is not cheap here in Australia. I have friends and family friends that pay as high as $115 per day just to keep a child in childcare, and because they need to work and do some other things. Most times you might need to keep a child in childcare for like 2 or 3 days in a week. Like, can you imagine how much someone is going to pay just to keep a child in a childcare? However, my kids are beginning to grow, so I would want them to go to a private school and experience what the private school looks like and stuff like that. So this is when I will say schools here in Australia are not cheap at all. Like the Catholic schools, the regular private schools, the regular Christian schools, they are not cheap at all. The school my kids will be enrolling in pay as high as $8,500 per annum. And I have 2 kids going to this school. This is about $17,000 per annum. Now, monthly, we're paying about $2,800 monthly. So that means for two of them in a month, we're paying about $6,200. Like, schooling in Australia, I would say is not cheap. One other aspect of bills no one talks about here in Australia is clothing. So guys, I'm a massive shopper, and the clothes here are seasonal. The clothes you wear in winter are different from the clothes you wear in summer. The clothes you wear in summer are different from the clothes you wear in autumn. Like, as the weather is changing, the clothing are changing as well. So for me, I would consider cost of clothing as part of my bills here in Australia. Some other extras on my list today that I consider part of my bills here in Australia is vacation, holidays. Oh yes, so many peaceful marriages, so many peaceful homes always break when they come to abroad. Like, it's always work, 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 work. We don't tend to create time for the family, for our loved ones. Is always work. So for us, we try to work as much as we can, but every 3 months we go on vacation. Like, we love vacation in this house. We go on vacation and we come back and we continue working. Of course, this will be considered as our bills because it's part of where our monthly or weekly income goes to. Lastly, today on my list will be some recreational activities like the swimming classes, the dancing classes, and so on. So swimming is considered very important here. So we enrolled my kids in a swimming class here. So we pay as high as about $55–60 on weekly basis for one child. So like in a week, we spend almost $120 just to teach them how to swim. We will consider this as part of our bills because it's part of what consumes our money. So we need to mention it as well, so we're able to bring it together and understand the total cost of living here in Australia. So guys, I need your calculators. I need us to calculate. I hope you guys have been taking note of the cost of living here in Australia and what is involved as weekly or monthly expenses here in Australia. Because for me, I have calculated everything. So by the time I calculated everything, it came out to a total of $2,518 weekly. Like, this is what we get to spend on weekly basis as a family of 4, 2 adults and 2 kids here in Australia. $2,518. So let me know in the comment section your thoughts on this. Is this amount cheaper for a family of 4 living in Australia, or is it very expensive for a family of 4 living in Australia? Thank you all for watching my video. I will see you in my next one. Bye.